Coco Gauff covers funeral costs for late teen Marshawn Kneeland, offering support to grieving family. The world sees Coco Gauff as a tennis superstar, a champion, a fighter, a global icon. But away from the stadium lights and roaring crowds, there's a quieter, more intimate truth about her character. She has a heart that feels deeply, cares fearlessly, and reaches out when people need it most. This week, that truth touched a family shattered by loss. When 17-year-old Marshawn Kneeland, a bright teen with a smile that lit up rooms, passed away unexpectedly, his community fell into mourning. What began as a time of heartbreak soon became a struggle, not just emotional, but financial. Funeral costs rose quickly. The Neland family, overwhelmed with grief, felt the pressure closing in. They needed help, but didn't know where to turn. And then, help came from the last person they ever expected. World #1 tennis star Coco Gauff quietly stepped forward and offered to pay the full funeral expenses, without cameras, without announcements, without a press team. She simply reached out, extended a hand of compassion, and lifted the burden from a grieving family's shoulders. This is the story behind that extraordinary act of kindness, the young life that moved Coco to tears, and the way a sports hero became a beacon of hope in a moment of darkness. A family in pain, a community in shock. Marshawn Kneeland was more than just a teenager. He was a son, a friend, a student, and a dreamer. Known for his playful joking and his quiet determination, he dreamed of becoming a graphic designer. His art notebooks were filled with sketches of superheroes, music stars, city skylines, worlds he imagined and planned to create someday. His passing was sudden, unfair, cruel. As news spread, people across the community began leaving candles, flowers, and handwritten notes outside the Neland home. Marshawn's school held a vigil. Coaches cried. Classmates embraced each other. But behind the public grief, the family faced a terrifying reality. How were they going to afford the funeral? Funeral homes quoted numbers that felt impossible. Thousands of dollars the family didn't have. Slowly, quietly, desperation began to creep in. Then came a phone call that changed everything. How Coco Gauff learned about Marshawn. The connection began with a social media post, a simple message shared by one of Marshawn's classmates. "We're trying to raise money for Marshawn. Please help his family give him a proper goodbye." The post went viral locally, then regionally. Among the thousands who saw it was Coco Gauff. Coco didn't know Marshawn personally, but what she saw struck her deeply. A smiling young boy whose life had been cut short, a family shattered, and a community trying desperately to support them. It hit her harder than she expected. Those close to Coco say she sat quietly for a long time after seeing the post. She thought of her own younger siblings. She thought of the fragility of life. She thought of how parents should never have to bury their child. And without hesitation, she told her manager what she wanted to do. Find the family. Make sure they don't worry about money. Handle everything. Simple words, but life-changing for the Nelands. The call that left the family in tears. When the Neland family received the call, they didn't believe it at first. Coco Gauff. The Coco Gauff? The tennis champion? Yes, her team explained gently. Coco didn't want publicity. She didn't want a headline. She simply wanted to help, human to human, heart to heart. Mrs. Neland, holding the phone with trembling hands, began to sob. Through tears, she whispered, "Why would she do this? She doesn't even know us." The response was simple. Because she cares. The entire family broke down, tears of grief mixing with tears of relief. The crushing weight that had been suffocating them suddenly lifted. They could focus on mourning. They could focus on remembering Marshawn. They could finally breathe. Coco's quiet visit. No cameras, just compassion. Though Coco initially wanted her involvement to remain private, she also felt compelled to show the family her condolences personally. She visited quietly. No press, no announcements, no sponsor logos. Just Coco in a hoodie, carrying flowers and a small handwritten note. Marshawn's younger sister hugged her tightly the moment she walked in. His mother couldn't speak. She simply cried into Coco's shoulder. Coco shed tears too. She listened to stories about Marshawn, saw his bedroom filled with sketches and half-finished drawings, and sat with the family as if she'd known them all her life. At one point, Marshawn's father said, "You didn't have to do this, but you changed everything." Coco responded softly, "I just wanted you to know you're not alone." He deserved a beautiful goodbye. A funeral born from love, lifted by kindness. Because of Coco's generosity, Marshawn's funeral became a beautiful celebration of his life. Not a struggle. There were flowers. There were framed pictures of his art. There was music he loved. There were classmates wearing bracelets with his initials. The community came together, united in grief but lifted by gratitude, moved by the fact that someone across the world, someone famous, someone busy, someone with no obligation, cared enough to help. At the service, the pastor said something that stayed with everyone present. Kindness is not measured in size, but in sacrifice. Coco Gauff gave this family room to breathe, room to love, and room to say goodbye. People cried. People prayed. People held each other a little tighter. And somewhere in the back row, Coco sat quietly, head bowed, letting the family have the spotlight. Why Coco did it? Her philosophy on compassion. In an interview months earlier, Coco once said, "If your success doesn't help someone else, then it's empty." This moment proved those words weren't just a quote. They were her truth. Coco has always believed in giving back, to children, to communities, to families in crisis. She knows what it means to have support. She knows others don't always get that privilege. Her kindness comes not from pity, but from empathy, from the belief that life is hard enough, and we each have the power to make it softer for someone. A champion in more ways than one. Tennis fans know Coco for her athletic fire, the speed, the power, the heart-stopping rallies. But to the Neland family and the countless people who watch this story unfold, her true greatness is found somewhere quieter. White heavy check mark in the softness of her compassion, white heavy check mark in the sincerity of her empathy, white heavy check mark in the courage to help without being asked, white heavy check mark in the humanity behind her fame. She didn't lift a trophy. She didn't win a match. She didn't gain anything in return. But she changed a family's life forever. And maybe, just maybe, she reminded the world of something we often forget. Heroes aren't made by stadiums. They're made by the size of their hearts. Conclusion: a goodbye made beautiful, a young life honored. Marshawn Kneeland may be gone, but his story didn't end with tragedy. It ended with dignity, with beauty, with kindness. Because when the world turned dark for one grieving family, Coco Gauff brought light. She didn't do it for praise. She didn't do it for headlines. She didn't do it for image. She did it because she cared. And in doing so, she proved once again that while trophies define a season, compassion defined a legacy. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.